¿Qué tal amigos? Sean bienvenidos al capítulo 9 de la temporada 3 de Tavo the PodCast. Recuerden de darle like al video, suscríbanse al canal, háganle clic a la campanita para que cada vez que subamos un video se les avise. Para información, rajes, comentarios pueden escribir a angel-gustavo-g@hotmail.com. También pueden darse una vuelta por el Facebook de Tavo the Podcast para mantenerse enterados de lo acontecer del metal nacional e internacional. En este capítulo hemos tenido el agrado de entrevistar a Steve DiGiorgio, integrante de DeathToAll, que se presentan este 15 de marzo en la explanada del festival, gracias a Danger Steel. Sin más que decirles, les dejo con la entrevista a DiGiorgio.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Steve. My name is Gustavo. This is my podcast called Tavo the Podcast. I'm glad to have you here. Let me start with the beginning. You know that after the pass of Chuck, who came with the idea to celebrate his huge impact in the metal scene?
You mean who pretty much started the idea for the DeathToAll tribute type of thing? Is that what you're asking?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I believe it started with an organization called Sick Drummer. They were a couple guys who put together clinics for drummers, and Sean Reiner and Gene Hoglan were participating in this, and they actually set up a thing called Drum Camp, where they would book they would book a place for a whole weekend, and the drummers would stay there and the guests would stay there, and it was like going to a clinic and camping with your favorite drummers, and you were around them all weekend and watching them play and eating food with them and stuff. And it was during this time, I think, because having two ex-drummers at these drum clinics, obviously the fans want these drummers to keep playing the Death songs. And
yeah,
I mean, those are two awesome performances right there from Human and Individual, and obviously Symbolic with Gene doing 2 albums. So, very worthy to watch the Death drummers play this stuff. And I think it started there, and the idea grew from the drum clinics to, the possibility of taking not just playing to recorded tracks and just one drummer. The idea came from inviting other ex-members on guitars and bass to join in to make it more of a performance and put the so-called clinic on a stage in a normal venue. And that's why the first tour we did in 2012 had 7 or 9 band members. It was, we played for 2.5 hours, and we played many, many songs off all the records because we had musicians from pretty much all the records. And it was a big production and stuff. But after that first tour, we had the idea to split the lineup into 2 functioning touring groups. And I was part of one of the groups. I don't know what happened to the second group. I think it did 1 show and it was over. But we kept it going like this, and it just kind of evolved into kind of a permanent band. I mean, obviously the first couple years we had Paul and Sean, when we found Max to take Chuck's part, that was the basic lineup, was me, Paul, Sean, and Max. We did that for a while, and then we eventually got a hold of Gene and Bobby to do it. And it became a little more extensive because our repertoire expanded. We played more songs, and we just really vibed very well as musicians. So we enjoy keeping it us 4. Obviously, we've still had guests come up. It's the door's wide open to all the ex-Death members, but it seems like the 4 of us have kept it going pretty steady. So we just try to always book shows and entertain the fans, and as long as they enjoy to watch us old guys play what we played when we were young, if the tickets keep selling, then it's a good sign that they want to enjoy the show. And so we just keep going. And when the fans decide they had enough, then when it's over.
Nice. Who find Max? Who find him?
Oh, Max, you're talking about Max Phelps?
Yeah.
Well, like I said, one of the first smaller lineups of DeathToAll after the big production was me and Paul and Sean. And Paul and Sean, they were from Cynic. They had found Max earlier to perform in the Cynic lineup.
Yeah.
And so Paul pretty much brought Max in from Cynic. And yeah, like you pointed out, I mean, it's so strange how much he can sound like Chuck and look like him. And for years he was playing the same BC Rich Stealth, but the guitar is I don't know if it's a real BC Rich or if it's just like a low quality model, but he's kind of left that in the case, and now he plays his preferred model, which sounds a lot better. You know, it's even more strange to add on to what you said about his similarity to Chuck is on stage, it's obvious. He can sound like Chuck, and even some odd similarity how he looks like, but it's so scary that during the day, little things he does, like the way he holds his coffee or the way he walks into a room, just little normal things really scare us how similar he is to Chuck the person, and that no one else would really know unless you knew Chuck.
No way.
And how young Max is, there's no overlap. Like they never had a chance to meet each other.
They never met.
They never met, and Max doesn't even really study Chuck. He doesn't try to be like him. It's just a weird, natural thing, and we're always catching ourselves, like, stop that, it's too similar. It's so funny, and Max has no clue. He's just being himself, and so it works well, and I think the fans really accept him because not only does he do this good job of creating this cool illusion that it sounds like Death, but he's also very humble, and he steps away from the microphone when he's not singing. So he's not trying to be Chuck. He's not trying to be this front man, soaking up all the spotlight. He's just there to perform, and he does an excellent job. And the kid is, he's wonderful. He's super humble, super modest, but he's an amazingly talented musician.
Yeah.
So we probably wouldn't feel right doing it without Max. Yeah. He's a perfect fit.
I saw him with Cynic here in Lima, and he's awesome. Are you rehearsing for the tour, or are you just ready to go?
We changed the set from last year a little bit, so there's some songs that we've never played together as a group, so we have to kind of prepare it's just a few changes, so we have to prepare these in advance, but we're going to Mexico. The first show in Mexico is
Guadalajara
next Friday, so in about 10 days or so from now, and we'll arrive to Mexico a couple days early, and we'll kind of rehearse as a group just to break the ice and get everything flowing good. But everybody in the band has everything stuck in here, so it comes back pretty quick.
Those are classics.
I don't think there's a musician on the planet that doesn't need to refresh the memory of what the set is. So we definitely get together and work on it before the first show. But since we live so far away, everybody kind of prepares at home, I guess.
So you already told me that you changed some songs on the set list. The set list is more focused on human, individual, two patterns, and symbolic, or you bring some, old school classic or some rare songs that the Depths never played?
All of what you said, everything. We're actually playing almost equal amount of songs from all 7 records. Almost equal. There's probably 1 or 2 more from the first album, and 1. I got to look at my list, but there's a couple new ones we're playing from Sound of Perseverance.
Wow.
And we're playing something from Scream Bloody Gore that we've never played live. I don't know if the classic Death lineup ever played it live. So we're breaking out some stuff new to this lineup, and hopefully people will enjoy hearing a little bit more off to the side, a little more rare song, but we still have the classics in there that people like, you know, the Zombie Ritual, Pull the Plug, the Philosopher, you know, Lack of Comprehension, and
Crystal Mountain.
Crystal Mountain. Yeah, those seem to be permanent live. I mean, once we play the first 5 notes, the whole place erupts and the explosion, and they just love that sound. So we can't forget about those. But it's pretty hard to make a set sometimes, because sometimes we come up with 30 or 40 good ideas, but that's too much time. So we have to cut it, lose it. It's really difficult because there's a lot of good songs. So this time we're doing a good variety off every single album, and with the additions of some songs we never tried before.
How many songs? How much time is going to be the show?
That's a good question. We usually play for a pretty long time. I don't know. You could expect between 15, 17 songs, something like that. It'll be a nice night of death.
But it's impossible to please every fan. Yeah, you know that.
Yeah, that's true. That's why we try to at least play something from every album to cover the whole catalog. And it's pretty easy for this lineup to play all the songs. Bobby and Gene and Max, everybody's so good we could play anything. You know, we were even thinking about playing Painkiller. But you know, like I said, that every song you choose takes the place of another song you could do, and since that's a cover, I don't know if it'll make it. Maybe we need a little bit longer set time, but I'm not sure. We'll see.
Yeah. Cool. Let me ask you something about your bass technique. A friend of mine is a bass player, and he told me that your three-finger technique is different from the other, from Alex Webster, I think. How is your three-finger technique?
Oh, from Alex?
Yeah.
Well, me and Alex used to talk a lot. I mean, we still talk. We're good friends. But in the early days, in the mid '80s, he called my house and asked me how I play so fast, and so I had to force myself to think about my own technique, and so I gave him an example. And then when we finally met, he showed me he had worked on my example, and I noticed something different about what he was doing, and it was an amazing thing that he was doing. And so I told him, I said, "You're not doing exactly what I explained to you, but what you're doing is great. You know, you've invented your own thing.
It works."
Yeah, and so he started analyzing what was different about it, and we talked about that. But so it's hard for me to explain exactly what I do. My fingers just do what they're supposed to do according to the part that's going on. You know, I try to use all my fingers. I use my thumb. I use fingernails. I use a pick. I use whatever I can to get the sound. You know, if somebody wants to sit down and take some time and talk about something very specific, I can analyze that and tell them, oh, this is what I'm doing here. But overall, with everything I play, it's really hard to talk about my technique because it's all over the place. And maybe to some purists, it's a little bit disorganized
or awkward.
Yeah, maybe it's not so pure and so refined, but it's what I came up with to survive as a thrash metal and a death metal bass player, and it works for me. But it's hard to really quantify exactly what it is at all times because it changes according to what's going on.
And also another question: how did you came with the idea to bring the fretless bass to death metal?
You know, I'm credited with being the first one to bring this type of instrument into music, but from my point of view, it's just a continuous line to who influenced me on this instrument. There's a handful of bass players that were playing fretless. Yes, I know it wasn't death metal or thrash or speed metal. It was more rock or fusion. It was different genres of music, but to me, when I hear a fusion bass player or a progressive rock bass player using a fretless, to me, it was easy to migrate that into heavy metal or thrash metal or whatever. So it just occurred to me when I was very young. I guess I really need to think about when I started. I want to say it was around 1989 or 90, I think, when I started. The album that everybody knows me for fretless, Individual Thought Patterns, that came out in 1993, is really the third album that I recorded with that. Before that was an Autopsy EP, and before that was a Sadist record that I used it on 2 or 3 songs. So I was slowly, working that instrument into what I did, and it came out into the world with these bands. And then the Death album was the big one that everyone heard, like, oh, what is this weird sound? But it's really such a small difference from what people would call a normal bass or a fretted bass. It's not. It's more in the style that you play it, because with Testament, I play fretless bass, but I don't make it sound so obviously fretless.
Yeah, I know.
Because it's the way that you play it. And with Death, it's easy to bring that quality of a fretless out more. So, it's not such a strange instrument. It's not very different. And fretless instruments have been around for hundreds and hundreds of years, with cellos and oud and all this type of thing. And so it's a pretty natural thing. I'm just trying to downplay the sensation of it a little bit, but I enjoy the tonal quality of it. It's a very vocal instrument. It's a little more expressive.
Nice. Well, time is a cruel thing, but I know, because I'm talking to you in Lima, that you can speak in Spanish. So please invite all the Peruvian fans to the concert in Lima this March 15, please.
Okay, I'll try.
No problem.
Estamos muy emocionados para verte, ver todos los metaleros de Lima, Perú. En el 15 de marzo vamos a tocar en Lima de nuevo, pero hace muchos años que nos toqué por allá. Entonces, los esperamos y ojalá que disfruten la noche con nosotros. Y metal para siempre, muerte por vida.
The legacy of Chuck. Thank you, Steve. Nice to talk to you.
Con mucho gusto.
Glad to see you here soon.
Mucho gusto. Nos vemos muy pronto.
Bye.
Chao.
Chao. Bueno, amigos, espero de que este capítulo haya sido de su completo agrado. La verdad es que se me hizo corta la entrevista con DiGiorgio. Me hubiera gustado preguntarle muchas cosas más, pero así son las cosas. Ya lo saben, este 15 de marzo en la explanada del festival se presenta DeathToAll, que va a repasar todo el legado de Chuck Chudry. Así que no pueden faltar y nos vemos en el concierto. Adiós. Y recuerden, todos somos la escena.